The organizations and the communities could not be more different. Wouldn't you agree?
No, absolutely.
Right? So I look at Green Bay, Wisconsin, 100,000 people in that greater area. You know, it's in the middle of the country. You don't see the ocean. San Francisco, even though they're playing down in Santa Clara, it represents a larger region. Yeah, there's in San Francisco, the city, there's like 800,000 people. But the greater Bay Area, there's like, I don't know, 7-8 million. Okay? We obviously can see the ocean. And we're right on the edge of the entire continent. You've got Green Bay as a team, the Packers, they're publicly owned.
Yep.
They don't have one owner.
Yeah, it's publicly owned.
It's a bunch of shareholders.
Yep.
The Niners, they're owned by the Yorks. We know exactly where the buck stops, do we not?
Yeah, we do.
All right? LaFleur works essentially for the GM. Whereas I feel like with the Niners, don't you feel like even though they work in tandem, Kyle's really the head guy?
Yeah, I mean, they go head to head. Lynch is probably the more of the face, and he'll go out there and speak publicly, and Shanahan's more, hey, I'm going to coach, and I'm going to buy the groceries here for the most part. But we don't even know how that's divvied up. We don't know if it's Adam Peters. We don't know if it's John Lynch. Really, who knows?
I don't know. But I feel like I interpret it as this is Shanahan's operation. Right? You know, the Niners have been looking for that singular quarterback to lead this team forever. The Packers are on now their third guy, but they've had a run of 30 years where it's been Favre, Rodgers, and now they're handing it to Jordan Love. Jordan Love, first-round pick. Now they stashed him away, and they kept him on the practice squad for that first year, and then they've worked with him on the side. He's been a backup forever, and finally they had the guts to trade away Aaron Rodgers. And they're playing him, and they stuck with him even after he struggled. The Niners, they had a high-priced first-round pick, and what they do with him didn't give him a lot of opportunities. He didn't make the most of them either. And out of nowhere, they handed the keys to Brock Purdy, a 7th-round pick.
Well, unless Brady wanted to come out and retire.
Unless Brady wanted to come. The Niners have been a big free agent destination. They've been bold in free agency. They've been bold in trades. Think of some of their best players. Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams. Those were trades. You know, think about some of their high-priced players on the team currently. They were free agents, whether we're talking about Javon Hargrave or we're talking about Charvarius Ward. They've also done a great job, obviously, through the draft. The Packers, they're primarily a draft and develop team. When's the last? Is Charles Woodson the last great free agent to sign in Green Bay? Think of how hard you're thinking right now.
Well, yeah, because I don't follow the Packers like that. Like we watch their football games, but a day-to-day transaction. Charles Woodson was a huge free agent. They got Reggie White back in the 90s. They were able to get players around him. Gosh, they drafted Jair Alexander. Darnell Savage, I believe, a draft pick.
That's what I'm saying.
They've drafted really well.
Rashawn Gary, draft pick.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It is kind of wild.
Right? So I'm just looking at the two teams, and they're very different. They're just very different in terms of their community, in terms of their fan base, in terms of their ownership, how their hierarchy is within the ownership, how they build a team and how they fill out that team. I mean, this is the third youngest team to ever qualify for the playoffs in the Green Bay Packers. Clearly the youngest left in the playoffs right now. And the 49ers, I don't think they're the youngest, but I also don't think they're the oldest team of all time, but I consider them more of a veteran team. Yeah,
they've been here. They've got calluses from all the playoff games and all the regular seasons and winning division championships and going to NFC title games. This core group for the Niners have been there. This core group for the Packers, obviously, they haven't sniffed really the playoffs.
But if I said to you, top 5 or 6 fan bases that travels, that is represented across the country.
Oh, it's the Green Bay Packers. Some people think the Green Bay Packers are America's team.
Oh, that's actually more than the Cowboys?
Yeah, Midwest, the Heartland, Vince Lombardi, the Super Bowl trophies named after Vince Lombardi, Lambeau, Coach Lambeau. Think about what Green Bay represents, football. Think about when the NFL kicked off their 100th season. It was the Bears and the Packers that kicked it off, right? And so when you think about Green Bay, I was listening to this. Who was I listening to yesterday? But they were talking about Green Bay. Oh, no, it was Brett Favre talking out of nowhere. But when you go into that town, which is, I can't wait for the schedule to be released for 2024 because I want to go to Green Bay next season. Everything about it. Big Dog went there a couple years ago, and he goes, you just walk through the neighborhood, and the stadium just appears right there in the middle of a neighborhood, and everybody's so friendly. give you shots, they give you beer, they talk to you. It's a really friendly town. And for the most part, most Packer fans are friendly.
No, I would agree.
It's respectful.
I would agree.
It reminds me of the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base. Not malicious. They're not going to just talk down to you. They'll tell you a good game. Yeah, they'll be rooting for their team. Very respectable fan base.
Do you hate the Packers?
I used to despise them.
Sports hate?
I used to despise the Green Bay Packers. But I respect the hell out of that organization, which is why I'm giving them a puncher's chance, which is why I don't want to overlook them on Saturday because of what they've done. They have an infrastructure. They stick to the plan. Patience. They are patient. They develop well. Think about all those wide receivers that they have right now. Think about Jordy Nelson. Think about Robert Brooks. Think about Antonio Freeman. Think about James Jones. Think about Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Greg Jennings. They develop so well. Running backs, Aaron Jones, right? Tight ends, Luke Musgrave. They've always had a tight end.
They always had a good tight end.
The Green Bay Packers are one of the best franchises in sports because of the way they develop and they stick to the script and they know the limitations. Okay, how are we going to sign a free agent in the offseason? Well, we have to sign our own. But we have to make sure we draft. And they make shrewd trades as well. Green Bay is one of the model organizations in all of sports.
What do you think of LaFleur as a coach?
I think he's a good coach.
Okay, you do?
Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
Was there a time where you just kind of questioned him at all?
No, I was eager to see him without Aaron Rodgers.
I think a lot of people were.
How much of it was Aaron? How much of it was LaFleur?
Yes.
Before the season, we were talking about Green Bay, and I was just thinking, man, I think we're sleeping on him.
Well, you were always high on Jordan Love when everyone else thought he sucked.
Hey, look, I like Jordan Love. Doesn't mean I want him as my quarterback. Like, I see some tweets here, some text on the comment. Oh, Jordan Love's your guy. No, I love quarterbacks.
You do.
All right? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I love all quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. But Jordan Love, I thought, let's give him a shot.
Yes,
because in today's society, we're not patient.
At all.
Think about Philadelphia. We listen to 94 WIP. We're waiting for Phil Mike to go on there. They already talk about firing Sirianni. He's got a playoffs in all 3 years as head coach.
They're talking about getting rid of Jalen Hurts.
Right. Jalen Hurts after a near MVP season and looking like the best player on the field in the Super Bowl. Think about all these quarterbacks that we want to flip-flop. Everybody was down on Josh Allen midway through the year. Oh, Josh Allen can never get it done. Now look at him.
I know.
He's hosting the whole playoff game against Patrick Mahomes Sunday night.
Single-handedly just...
carrying the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, as an organization.
So patience in sports, hell... Yeah, you're right, Tyler. Trey Lance, we weren't patient with. We weren't patient. Shanahan, after seeing Brock Purdy light it up last season, told Brock Purdy as he's rehabbing, you're our starter unless Tom Brady wants to play for us.
It really is incredible.
Sean McVay, Jared Goff. We're seeing Jared Goff leading them to playoff wins in a Super Bowl appearance. We got to move off you, buddy. We're trading for Matt Stafford.
It's crazy.
Patience in sports. While Green Bay said, you know what? We're going to draft Jordan Love. When everybody said, oh, you got to draft a receiver for Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers made a big stink about it. Remember, really? That's what we're going to do, draft Jordan Love? And they sat there. They were patient. Same thing with Brett Favre when they drafted Aaron Rodgers. When they draft Aaron Rodgers first round, you're going to sit and watch. When nobody likes to sit and watch. Think about how many rookies play on day one. The Packers are like a throwback. When we grew up, quarterbacks sat for at least 2 seasons.
At least. Like the Aaron Rodgers part, because this is the first time we faced the Green Bay Packers since Favre where you haven't had the Aaron Rodgers, oh, you should have taken him component. Oh, we should trade for him component. I'm actually refreshed that this is more football between the lines, and we don't have that Aaron Rodgers, just that crappy Nolan narrative that we've had since 2005, basically, that we took the wrong guy. I'm glad we don't have to go over that again.
Don't you think that narrative, though, died?
After
the minute the Niners beat them at Candlestick Park.
With Cap?
With Kaepernick. Don't you feel like that died?
No,
I felt like it died for me.
I still have like Johnny Bologna will text me every now and then. We should have gone after Rodgers.
Right. For me, that died. Maybe it didn't die after the Kaepernick game, but it certainly did die a slow death when they went to Green Bay in the wild card game.
That I agree
and
with.
Beat them.
When Jimmy G beat him without throwing a touchdown and scoring an offensive touchdown, I mean, I think that's the worst loss of his playoff career.
Well, not only that, and they got blown out at Candlestick Park by Jimmy G by Raheem Mostert in 2019.
Yeah, Levi's.
Levi. So, but even then, you think about back when Harbaugh was the coach, and the reason why it died for me then, because Harbaugh was here, he had Kaepernick, And they beat them like 4 straight times. They beat them in the regular season. Remember Alex Smith went to Lambeau Field to start the season the year after 2011. David Akers had the longest field goal, 63-yarder.
The Kaepernick run right before
halftime to set up that field goal.
Draw.
Randy Moss scored a touchdown in that game. Went like this. NaVorro Bowman with an interception in that football game. They went to Lambeau Field to kick Aaron Rodgers' ass. And then they beat him the next year in the season opener in Candlestick where Kaepernick threw for over 400 yards. So that narrative with Aaron Rodgers had died for me by 2012.
Okay.
It was done. It was done. I was like, look, they got their Super Bowl. It was a bad pick. I think we could all move on.
I agreed. I feel like every time I saw his face, and then that throw he made to Devontae at Levis, like, oh my God, this guy's going to torment us forever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The one that got away, as we always talk about. Sam, you're a little younger than us. You're 10 years younger than us, give or take, and I don't mean to put your age out there. Green Bay, where do they rank for you in terms of, like, were you around for the 90s when they smacked us up 4 years in a row?
I mean, I was, a little tyke back then, so I don't have a huge memory of what those games were like. I mean, yeah, I think the first Packers-Niners game I really remember was, I think it was the 2002 playoffs when they lost. I think it was 25-15. That's like the first one.
The underthrow from Garcia.
But the big ones are the Kaepernick ones, and then the two most recent ones there. So basically the last 4 matchups are the ones that stick out the most for me, not the ones that earlier Niner fans had to trudge through in those 90s matchups.
And then what about Aaron Rodgers for you? Like, is he the one that got, I mean, you're a big Cal fan, obviously. Like, aren't you happy that we don't have to deal with that this week?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you talk about kind of when that Rodgers narrative died. I definitely think it died a little bit after those Kaepernick games, but then it kind of popped up again when Kaepernick kind of faded away, and it's like, oh man, still would be nice to have Aaron Rodgers. But seeing what Aaron Rodgers has been like the last couple of years, though, has added another layer of it to the whole story. Like, there's a part of me, it's like, yeah, it would have been nice to see Rodgers in a Niner uniform. The last few years, like, you know what? Maybe we dodged a bullet there in the long run.
Think about who Aaron Rodgers has become.
Oh, totally agree.
In a way, sure, he's got a Super Bowl, and it would have been great to have Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the best quarterbacks. At a time, he could claim that he was the guy. I mean, he threw some people consider him the greatest quarterback of all time.
In terms of gifted.
Just talent, arm strength. Yeah. Making all the throws, mobility, deep shots, out routes, back shoulder fades.
Precision.
Think about the back shoulder fade. It felt like he was the innovator.
Yeah, I know. Well, I keep going back to, I still can't get over that throw he hit to Devontae at Levi's on that Monday night. It's one of the greatest throws I've ever seen.
Sunday Night Football.
Oh, it was a Sunday night, excuse me. Sunday Night Football. It's one of the greatest throws I've ever seen in my life. Fred Warner was in perfect position. It was the greatest throw I've ever seen.
He's great, but think about what he is as a character. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with never having Aaron Rodgers in a 49er football uniform.
Yeah, I am.
I've been over it for so long. Yeah. I've been over it for a decade. Think about that's just me personally. I don't speak for everybody. Some people are different. Some people are still to this day, oh my gosh. But you know what? I've been over it for a decade. And so the Niners, because the Niners have had really good teams.
Yes.
And you know what? Since that moment, they've owned the Green Bay Packers.
They really have. I mean, they really have. The Packer fans, so like my buddy Bill Schmidt, who's going to come on with us later this week, his heart has been broken, and they've had seasons like the Niners are having right now, where the Niners have come in and thumped them, and they thought they were having a magical season, and they had the Hall of Fame quarterback who was going to get to his second, Super Bowl and win it.
Right.
They've had their heart broken numerous times by inferior 49er teams.
Yep.
And they're fed up with us.
They are fed up.
And I think there's going to be a ton of Packer fans at this game.
Well, I hope not.
I think
there will get home field advantage
for. They're everywhere, B.
That would be embarrassing for the Niner fans to sell their tickets to Green Bay. This needs to be a red out. This needs to be a red and gold out. I don't want to see that many cheeseheads out there.
You're going to start that? Red out?
Yeah, red out, something.
I don't want to do a white out. We don't do white out.
No, we don't. We're not wearing white jerseys.
No, red. I like a red out. I like
a red out.
Red out. I
want a red out on Saturday. I don't want to see green jerseys. I don't want to see cheeseheads around there. Do not sell your tickets. Come on, man. We got a home field advantage for a reason. This ain't a neutral site game. We're not the LA Rams. We're not playing at SoFi. What the hell is going on around here? You listen.